there, if anybody does, I try not to do it. Call to order, Violet Township Board of Trustee meeting, Wednesday, August 18th, 2021, 7:30 p.m. Ms. Niekamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Present.
Mr. Mulholland,
Present.
Mrs. Wild,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Stand with me if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for those that protect us at both home and abroad. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I've been presented with minutes from the regular trustee meeting on August 4th, 2021. Pleasure of the board.
Move to accept as submitted by the fiscal office without public reading.
Second.
Mrs. Niekamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland,
Yes.
motion passes.
I've also been presented with special trustee meeting minutes from August 9th, 2021. Pleasure of the board.
Move to adopt as submitted by the fiscal office without public reading.
Second.
Ms. Niekamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Mulholland,
Yes.
motion passes.
I'd like to welcome our law director, Mr. Joshua Horacek, with us this evening. Welcome. We reached the portion of our meeting for public comment. If you'd like to address the trustees, approach the podium, say your name, address, and group affiliation. You will be limited to 3 minutes. Do I have anyone that would like to address in public comment?
My name is David Haig. Is that coming through okay?
You're a little, yeah. If
You can bend that mic up or so.
yeah, you want to get it up a
Yep.
little closer. That's better.
Address 8960 Hill Road South in Pickerington, and just representing myself. Just a few comments for you. I want to express my appreciation for doing the comprehensive plan. I think it's valuable and needed. And
Can you speak a little louder? Some of the people in the back can't hear you.
sure. I'd like to express my appreciation for the you all putting together the comprehensive plan. It's needed, and I think it's a good exercise for the citizens to go through. I would like to express my concern, though, that the plan does not fairly treat non-development issues. To that end, we put together a survey of citizens, and I'll give you a copy of all this. Some brief statistics of 132 folks surveyed. 3 checked off the box that they wanted more housing developments. Of the 132, 123 checked off the box that they wanted to protect natural areas. There are 11 categories, and the preponderance is that most people want to have less development rather than more development. The comprehensive plan tends to feature items that promote development at the expense of not having issues that promote non-development. So I would like to express my non-confidence in the process and hope that it can be changed so we can have as much emphasis on non-development as we do on development. So that's my request. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haig. Have anyone else that would like to address the trustees this evening?
Hello, everyone. Hopefully I'm loud enough. I usually have a problem with that. My name is Tammy Miller, and I enjoy residing on the peaceful side of Violet Township at 8960 Hill Road South. For a few months now, MS consultants have presented their slides and asked us for opinions. However, last week I realized that a new comprehensive plan is only needed if the township trustees and zoning officials intend to change the zoning in Violet Township. So bottom line, the purpose of a new plan is to change zoning. A change in zoning may mean that a homeowner who may now enjoy fireflies and crickets on quiet summer nights may be contending with the glare of overhead lights of a new car dealership next door a year from now. A change in zoning may mean that a homeowner in the quiet southeastern part of the township may find themselves living next to a gigantic warehouse and sleeping less as semi-trucks arrive all hours of the night. A change in zoning may mean that a homeowner who now only has a few neighbors with 2-acre lots may soon be living next to a new subdivision. A change in zoning may mean that township residents have to wake up 15 minutes earlier for their daily commute or add 30 minutes for a trip to the grocery store or school due to increased traffic congestion and construction. A change in zoning may mean that I can no longer sell my home for a price higher than I paid for it because I now live next to an automotive repair shop. A change in zoning may mean that living on the quiet side of Violet Township is no longer possible, and that I must move away to enjoy the rural, small-town feel that brought me to Violet Township in the first place. Because the comprehensive plan may mean all these changes, and that these changes would drastically impact residents' lives, I ask that the township consider 3 actions that would show that you wish for residents to understand the upcoming changes imposed if a new plan is approved. 1, I ask that the township present to its residents 2 maps. One map showing zoning under the current 2005 comprehensive plan, and another map showing the area impacted by the zoning changes of a new plan. Each impact should clearly be highlighted in color for readability. 2, I ask that the township mail a postcard to each resident that lives on or next to a parcel with a proposed zoning change. And 3, I ask that the township trustees wait 6 months after the 2 maps are available and that the postcards are mailed before approving a new comprehensive plan. Most in the township are working at day jobs to pay the bills and taxes and spend their time caring for their families, not spending their work days talking to government officials and advocating for zoning changes. But these zoning changes can drastically affect their lives and their finances. Because a new comprehensive plan's main purpose is major zoning changes, I ask that the township give Violet residents the opportunity to understand and to comment on these zoning changes. I ask that you consider these 3 actions and not vote on a new comprehensive plan until the summer of 2022 at the earliest. This timeline is typically used by other municipalities changing their plan. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Do I have anyone else that would like to address the trustees?
Yes, my name is Rocco Sabatino. I live at 8918 Chevington Chase Drive, Pickerington, 43147. I do want to thank the township trustees. I want to thank staff and so forth for the hard work they've done. They've crafted a very, very, very responsible and careful update for the zoning amendment. They were very careful that these new businesses that may be allowed, which is simply a car automotive businesses, has to be put in a commercial area, primarily Refugee Road portion of the township, not in the south. I know Dave and Tammy, I understand, they don't want development, that's fine. But there's people out here that want commercial development. They want to support our schools. They want to support our fire department. They want to support these things that these taxes will bring. And the other thing is that with commercial business in a commercial area, it does not impact anybody's residence. On these zoning updates, they require commercial on 3 sides of the property. That means it has to go in an area where it is strictly commercial. They can't end up in anyone's neighborhood, okay? And there are many, many, many people who do want additional support. They don't want all of the tax burden falling on the homeowner. People have made that very, very, very clear. They want a balanced, responsible commercial with, of course, responsible residential is best serves all residents. So it's not runaway or anything like that. It's very responsible work that the zoning department and so forth, the zoning commission, put a lot of work and time and a lot of safeguards to make sure that what Tammy was worried about doesn't happen. Unless they buy a house on Refugee Road in the commercial district, which there aren't that many houses for sale there, really, if any. But make a long story short, I urge the passage, and I want to thank the whole township. Many, many, many citizens want some relief from property taxes and some additional support for our schools and fire department and road department and other areas. And they don't want all of the property tax, all of the tax requirements falling upon them and their houses. What they want the balanced approach. I applaud the township for looking at a balanced approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I have anyone else that would like to address the trustees?
Hello, my name is Kathy Jerbick. I live at 12599 Tollgate Road. There are 2 topics I would like to address tonight. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, so you have to speak in the microphone so the people in the back can hear it.
Sure. I'd like to address the comprehensive plan, and the second item is the petition. Regarding the comprehensive plan, I feel that that is absolutely the foundation of our zoning code. And I am hopeful that the community survey that's being done by MS Consultants, as well as the alternative survey that David Haig has created, does capture all elements of our community and that it truly reflects the will of the people. I too am concerned about a balance between development and natural features of the township. I think we have gaps in our knowledge, and I feel there should be equal attention to those natural features which underlie our very existence. The watershed for clean water, the air, the trees, the wetlands, they all provide society functions that should not be ignored. And I would hope that MS Consultants will, in their recommendations, identify gaps in our knowledge and studies that perhaps should be conducted to fill those gaps. I strongly feel climate change should be included in any of our planning for the next 20, 30 years. We're seeing extreme weather events around the world, and sooner or later, those events could occur here locally. We are already seeing increased rainfall. Yesterday, I had over 2 inches in my rain gauge, and I understand Reynoldsburg had 5 inches. So concerns for flooding, concerns for our watershed being able to absorb floods, heat waves, extreme heat waves. We've all suffered through extreme heat this summer. And then windstorms, derechos. All these things should be looked at as part of our planning process for the next 20 through 30 years. Also, what are the effects of climate change on local agriculture, as well as globally? We are already seeing disruptions in our supply chain. We're seeing impacts to our agriculture out west and to the south. It could be that our local agricultural fields may become more important to us locally in the future. I'm hoping that the comp plan will lead us to changes in the zoning code that truly reflect the views of our residents. And now I want to switch to our petition. I'm a member of Violet Residents for Responsible Development, and I want to read this statement from that committee. On behalf of Violet Residents for Responsible Development, it has come to our attention that our petition, submitted July 21st, 2021, was found by the Fairfield County Board of Elections to be invalid by failing to meet the requisite number of signatures to be placed on the ballot in November. The margin was very narrow. Violet Residents for Responsible Development has yet to receive an official notification or report from the Board of Elections, but has requested and received marked up copies of the part petitions for analysis. While extremely short in time, it is our understanding that we have until Friday, August 20th, to protest the Board of Election decision. Nevertheless, Violet Residents for Responsible Development is interested in defining with the trustees a top-down driven solution to the petition issue in the coming days. Violet Residents for Responsible Development will soon be in contact with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jerbeck. Do I have anyone else that would like to address the trustees? Moving right along to departmental reports. Mike Little, Fire Chief.
Thank you and good evening. I have one resolution for you tonight, some updates to go over first. Station 592, we have air conditioning as of today. Life is good. So the whole building is air conditioned right now. The garage outside, the siding inside and out has been going up all week. So that's making good progress out there. And we have made a couple decisions regarding flooring since the building's already taken apart. There's a need to replace other areas of flooring. We can do that at a pretty nominal cost compared to if we wait. So we are going to have a couple of change orders coming that will allow us to extend the luxury vinyl tile in certain areas throughout the rest of the firehouse to make sure that it's all the same brand and same color, but also it's just better to do it this way since the building's already torn apart. So monthly report, run volumes are ahead. So I gave you a couple numbers here as a comparison. So last year, if you recall, 2020 was the COVID year. So run volumes were a little light last year, but they're 9% ahead of last year, 4.3% ahead of 2019. So we're still well ahead of what we did in 2019. Our transports are 15% ahead of last year and 1.7% of 2019 ahead of 2019. And then receipts are about 6.4% ahead of last year, and we're 2.5% behind what our 2019 receipts were. So the COVID year obviously affected things, and the run numbers and everything look much greater than what they are when you compare them to 2019, which was a heavier year for runs. Resolution, I have one for you tonight. It's Resolution 01. This is a resignation of one of our part-time level 2 firefighters, Jack Ferguson. He accepted a full-time position at Norwich Township Fire Department and cannot meet the requirements we have for our part-time program.
Pleasure of the board on 01.
Move to adopt and thank him for his service to our community.
Second.
Any questions? Ms. Camp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Monholland,
Yes.
motion passes.
That's all I have tonight, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Questions for the fire chief, Mrs. Wild,
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Dunlap?
I have none, thanks.
I assume that station 592 is still on time and below budget.
Well, we're adding a couple things. It's going to add a little bit of cost to it, but we're going to be right around that $2.4 million.
Okay,
So it'll be good.
thank you. Moving right along, Ed Rubino, Township Administrator.
Yes, good evening, everyone. You have my report. I do not have any resolutions at this time. Last meeting, I talked about the ODOT stimulus program. Trustee Dunlap and I have a meeting scheduled with the Fairfield County engineer on Monday to discuss projects, what type of projects, et cetera. And we'll also talk about OPWC grants while we're there at that time. The salt barn design, we talked about that, several months ago. The design is complete enough to go out to bid. The architect's estimate on the salt barn is just a little over 300,000. So if we'd like to put that out to bid, I can get that out next week or the week after. We'll still have to go through the City of Pickerington zoning and building process. I did receive a call from Grace Fellowship Church the other day. They would like to do a service day on October the 16th, which would involve picking up litter along township roads or any other little projects we could come up for them. And then I wanted to report tonight, and I'll do it again next meeting. I'll be on vacation September the 13th through the 27th. And if there's no questions, we also have MS Consultants here tonight to do an update on the land use plan.
Questions for the Township Administrator, Mrs. Wild,
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Dunlap?
We had some big rain as a result of some of the activity down in the Gulf coming up and shoving across everybody. We had a little bit of flooding a couple places out here. Have we found some resolutions or are you looking?
We've done some temporary, we set up a temporary sump pump yesterday to keep the water from running in the building. And we do have a quote from a company to come in and bore a line to put in a gravity.
Okay.
Robert and I are going to look at that a little more.
I know we've got a lot of underground electrical and
Yes.
water and other things out here that we have to deal with, so we're going to have to go a little bit lower. And if we bore it, that's better than trying to use a backhoe and not cut any pipes or electric lines.
And that was our thought of having a company come in and bore it. And we'll also do what they call potholing and locate the lines before we do the work.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
With the MS Consultants presentation, for those that are in the audience, we have a screen, we can see it here. I talked to our development manager, Mr. Duffy, and you had said that this slideshow would be online. Is that something that people can pull up online currently, or will it be something that can be pulled up tomorrow? So if you'd like to take a look at your phone and follow along, slide by slide, you're able to do that. Ladies.
And I can also add it to the project website as well. We've got all the materials
The what?
on there.
Project website.
Yeah.
So
Quick question. How long will your presentation be?
I would say 10 minutes max.
We may have to carry over and start the public hearing a little bit late. Because we only got about.
I can go through. What time would you like me to?
We have
Keep it
public
till
hearing.
5?
Just do your best. I think we're okay to
We'll
go a
be all
couple
right.
minutes late unless someone in the audience objects. Maybe start at 8:03.
Can you
You
hear me
can't
now?
hear me? Oh, I was gonna say. So try and lean in and speak into the microphone as well as you can.
And try to bear with me. I have my slides, but if I'm talking about something that is completely different than what you're looking at, just feel free to let me know and I'll try to catch up the slides appropriately. But thank you for having us here. We just wanted to introduce ourselves officially to all of you. I believe I've met most of you, but let you know about the comprehensive plan process, let you know where we are at in the process, and then what the next few months will look like. So my name is Emily Phyllis. I'm a planner with MS Consultants. We are a planning, engineering, and architecture firm headquartered here in Columbus, but we do projects across the state and all across the country. And with me, I have Shannon Fergus, who is the operations leader for the planning group. So Vision for Violet is the name that we have branded for the comprehensive planning process. We really want to be clear that this is a vision. So we're looking at kind of the long-term future for the township for the next 10 to 20 years. It is a comprehensive plan. So we're looking holistically at land use, housing, parks and recreation, economic development, really all the different components that make your community a great place to live and visit and work. So with the comprehensive plan, all of those different things that I just discussed are analyzed through comprehensive data collection, but also through engagement and analysis. And I'm really looking at all of these things from a big picture and then delving into the nitty gritty for creating action steps for the future. So the different inputs.
I don't think your little thing is working.
Oh, are we still on the first slide?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, well, is it going now? Well, if you're okay, I can just talk to you all.
Sure,
if that's fine.
that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's
Sure.
fine.
Okay, so the components that really go into a comprehensive plan, we really approach it as planners with a fairly standard process of taking all of the different data that I was just discussing. So geographic information systems analysis, demographic data, as well as community engagement. So comprehensive feedback from different community members, residents, employers, et cetera. And then all of that kind of getting fed together through our professional expertise and knowledge. All of these things come together through those different lens of the different community assets that I was discussing earlier with housing, parks and recreation, et cetera. And those are developed into long-term goals. So as we're building a vision for the future, and the community is coming together and saying, these are the big things that we want to accomplish within the next few decades in this community. These are the things that we want to preserve and protect. These are the things that we want to grow and develop. That vision can get laid out through some specific goals, and then those goals can be broken down into strategic actions. And these actions and goals are very helpful for policy changes, but also for decisions relative to funding, for grant applications. We do a lot of work with grants and funding, and it is incredibly important to have some type of comprehensive plan on the books in order to be competitive within the funding process. It also helps sort of as, in the next 20 years, who knows who will be in the community. And so it creates sort of a standing document that lays out some of these long-term ideas. So as far as the process and timeline, we started back in the spring, and that was really just kicking off the plan. We kicked off the project website, which I mentioned earlier, visionforviolet.com. We have all of the engagement activities on the website, as well as different resources, and I'm always putting updates on there. I got rained out at the farmer's market the other day, so I put that on the website, so things of that nature. The analysis portion is primarily with township staff, so doing a lot of the data collection and working through all of that information. And then MS Consultants is taking the lead on the public engagement. So that is primarily the big lift for the summer for the plan. So like I said, I've been at the farmer's market. I'll go into in a minute about some of the details of the engagement events that we've done. But like I said, that's the third phase of the process throughout the summer. And we'll be carrying that a little bit into the fall as we kind of start laying out the actual plan itself. And that is the fourth and fifth step of the process, is really turning this vision, these sort of lofty goals and big ideas, and really getting them on paper into tangible action items for the future. So that hasn't been done yet. So just a reminder where we're at in the process. We're still getting the information. I'm synthesizing all the results that we're getting from the online engagement and the in-person engagement. So there are no goals or actions yet. That's what's going to be happening in the next couple months. So things will really be revving up here soon. So the goal, I believe, is still to wrap this up by the end of the year, if possible. Like I said, we're still working through the engagement, so we'll just have to kind of see where we're at within the next month or so, and the township can reassess for that part of the process. For the engagement, just a quick overview for you all. There are online activities. So I mentioned the community survey. That's been available online throughout the summer. We're going to keep it open. I believe the slides say through the 21st. I would like to keep it open just a little bit longer because we did have the event this past Saturday at the library event, and then I'll be at the farmer's market tomorrow. So just to give folks a few extra weeks to kind of get some answers in. And we've also done some stakeholder interviews, so talking with, community leaders, some different county agencies and things of that nature. I was at Combustion one night, having conversations with people. Like I said, we were at the library event. So what we call these the planning pop-ups. And the reason we use that term is because we've learned in the past that if you have one town hall meeting where I'm just talking to people, we don't get very much good feedback. But if I go out into the community and engaging one-on-one with folks and having real conversations about what they love about the community, their fears for the future, we get really honest feedback, and we get more quantity as well as feedback. So that's the reason for those events. I've put it out to the stakeholders and to the community if there are other groups that you'd like me to address. I spoke to the school board earlier this summer as well. So as much information as we can get out there about the plan, as many people as we can get to take the survey, we're very supportive of that. Also on the survey, there is a hard copy. So I know not everyone wants to take it online. That is totally fine. We have hard copies available here at the Wigwam, and I've also been taking them with me to every event. We also have little cards that we pass out at the events that have the project website on there so that people can go home and do any of the activities that we have in person. They're all available online as well. So next steps for the process, like I said, we're wrapping up community engagement here within the next couple weeks. I'll be creating a comprehensive report that has a summary of all the engagement we've gotten in person and online. Within that report, I'll be breaking down the results into some key takeaways. So, right now, without giving away too much of the excitement, I would say that Parks and Recreation obviously has been a very large theme, pedestrian connections. So opportunities to create walkability between downtown Pickerington and outlying neighborhoods within the township. These are just some of the common themes that I'm hearing, but this will all be, like I said, summarized and given some guidance on how that could then be wrapped into the comprehensive planning process in the future. Then, we'll be working with the township. I will be helping with the remaining steering committee meetings. So we will be here to serve as a reference as the township starts putting pen to paper and really getting these goals into some tangible actions steps for you all to then make decisions about the future of the community in the next 10 to 20 years. So that's where we're at in the process. I would be happy to answer any questions that you all have at this time.
Thank you for your update. Mrs. Wild, do you have any questions at this time?
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Mr. Dunlap?
Do you have any anticipation of when the maps and the pictures and everything of what the committee has come up with will be available for public viewing or public presentation?
Sure. So I've actually just been talking to the township earlier this week about doing a community workshop. Can you hear me? Sorry. A community workshop early this fall where we lay out some of the initial ideas. Like I said, the ideas haven't necessarily been formulated into actual goals yet. But the idea would that be in the early fall at some point, we could present something to the public to get some more targeted feedback on where we're headed so far.
Okay, thank you.
I have no questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Dunlap.
I move that we recess the regular trustee meeting and go into the continued public hearing on case number 01ZC2021.
I will second that. Ms. Meekamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes,
Mr. Monholland,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now in the public hearing.
okay. We continued the meeting so that staff and everybody could work on all the suggestions that everybody had made and the different comments and the different information, so that perhaps a resolution could be arrived. And I think that the new newly presented information that was able to be worked out by staff puts us to where everybody's going to be happy. from both sides. And we've already had public comment from people about it ahead of time tonight, so it seems like we're at that position. So it's up to you whether you want to have additional public comment, or we just officially, now that this has been able to be done, then by continuing it, allow this to happen. So we're at a point where, unless there's additional information, I think we could probably close the public hearing and then move on.
Would you like Ms. Sarko to talk about the process?
Ms. Sarko,
Did
do
you
you have
want,
anything for us?
did you want me to go over the amendments, the
Like for you
revision?
to, I would like for you to give highlights of the process of what got us here after the last meeting, when we had
Oh,
the
yes.
initial meeting that was continued.
Yes, we listened to the comments presented by Mr. and Mrs. Sabatino. We met with Jennifer Huber, and in listening to those comments, we revised the proposed amendment based upon those concerns and questions by Mr. and Mrs. Sabatino, as presented on the meeting of the 4th. The auto-related establishments are now a permitted use. They are specifically defined as dealerships of newer used vehicles for sale or lease, operated by state of Ohio licensed motor vehicle dealers, as defined in Chapter 4517 of the ORC. Automotive repair shops performing customary routine service, engine repair, muffler repair, or the like, and for personal and commercial vehicles, excluding vehicles having more than 2 axles. It allows car washes, either self-service or automated, and automobile rental agencies. There are some limits. The minimum lot size is half an acre, but not more than 5 acres. A lot for an auto-related establishment has to join commercial properties on all 3 sides. All repair work needs to occur within a completely enclosed structure. Vehicles for sale or lease by a state licensed motor vehicle dealer are permitted to be stored outdoors. The closest any vehicle, and this is consistent with the current language in the code, any vehicle, including recreational vehicles, boats, trailers, and motorcycles, motorized bicycles, and all terrain vehicles, they can't be stored within 15 feet of any property line. And then it goes on to some additional not permitted uses, and that would be outdoor storage of any goods, materials, or merchandise that is discarded, unused, broken, scrap, and damaged, vehicle parts, tools, components, containers, trash, and debris. It does not permit auto body shops, including those performing collision repair, refinishing, major mechanical or body work, straightening of body parts, painting, welding, unless all on-site vehicles that are damaged or in the process of being serviced are stored within a completely enclosed structure or building. And it does not permit the storage outside of an enclosed building of any visibly damaged motor vehicle, recreational vehicle, boat, trailer, motorcycle, or motorized bicycle or all-terrain vehicle. Any use within the C2 district would have to comply with the provisions for signage and parking, stormwater drainage, and setbacks for the C2 district, as well as obtain a building permit. So those are the other things that, in case you had any questions, if that type of use would be happen on a parcel within the township that met all of those criteria, they would have to follow similar requirements as any other commercial structure, any other commercial use within the township.
And this also prohibits junkyards, scrap yards, that kind of thing has to go to M3. That's not,
That's correct.
okay, that's all goes someplace else. And farm equipment is exempted,
That's not included.
okay.
Yes. Unlicensed motor vehicles, including tractors and farm implements, which are used for agricultural purposes and defined by the laws of Ohio, are exempt from this paragraph.
Any additional questions from Ms. Sarko?
I have none.
Mrs. Wild?
I have none.
Just to let the record reflect, when you talk about Jennifer, you're talking about
Oh, Jennifer Huber, our legal counsel, I'm
our
sorry.
legal counsel on zoning. Okay, I just want to make sure that was in the record. I have no additional questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I guess we're at a point where we could probably close the public hearing since we've had this testimony and Kelly has spoken and
If this is a public hearing, is there an opportunity to make a comment or ask a question?
This is continued from last time,
Right,
and
So
that
in
is
other
why we're
words, no?
taking no additional public comment.
okay. I was just trying, I watched the whole thing last time. I'm just trying to understand what changed since last time in a very simplistic manner.
she just,
Yeah, well, I don't know that she gave that information in a simplistic manner, but
Yeah, just
what
very
has
simple.
taken place, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Sarko, is that you've taken all of the comment made in the previous special meeting, that you've worked with our legal counsel and as well as Mr. Dabina and through your office
Yes.
to make this proposal
Yes.
for this evening.
Yes.
Is that too simplistic?
One little caveat. It was originally presented as a conditionally permitted use, which requires a conditionally permitted use is a use that is permitted, provided it meets conditions, and that conditionally permitted use is considered by the Board of Zoning Appeals. It is now a permitted use within the C2 district,
So not conditional.
not conditional.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Name so I could record it.
It's Kathy. Yeah, I don't know your address, so if you could, Kathy, thank you.
Sorry, Kathy, I just needed to record in the
Sure,
minutes.
Kathy Jensen, Kathy with a K, Jensen, 10010 Oxford Drive.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will second that.
we haven't made a motion yet.
Oh, I thought you did make a motion.
Okay, now I will make the motion that we close the public hearing on case 01ZC 2021.
I will second that.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes?
Mr. Monholland,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild,
Yes.
motion carries.
Move to return to the trustee meeting.
I will second that. Mrs. Niekamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes?
Mr. Monholland,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild,
Yes.
motion passes.
Moving right along, elected officials, Vanessa Niekamp, fiscal officer.
I just have a couple items for you tonight. The Port Authority is currently undergoing a basic audit for fiscal years 19 and 20. We expect the fee for that audit to not exceed $600. The gas aggregation issue was certified for the November 2nd, 2021 ballot on Saturday, August 14th. But as Mrs. Jerbick indicated, the zoning referendum was lacking the necessary signatures to be certified. Refunding of the 2016 fire bond has resulted in a total savings of over $170,000 or $270,000.
Great.
And I just have a couple resolutions for you tonight. The first one to consider is our typical purchase orders and your approval. If you have any questions.
Pleasure of the board on O2.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any questions? Mrs. Neecamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Monholland.
Yes.
Motion passes. The second one I have for your consideration is 2021-08-11803, and this is the creation of the American Rescue Plan Act Fund. These are funds that we expect to receive one half of the funds by September 1st of this year in a little over $1 million, and a second amount in equal portion within the next 12 months later. And again, this resolution is to create the fund.
Pleasure of the board on O3.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any questions? Mrs. Neecamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Monholland.
Yes.
Motion passes. And the last resolution I have for your consideration is to amend our appropriations. Of course, we'd have to amend those appropriations to be able to spend that over $1 million if we did anything with it this year. It also includes a slight increase to our general fund, and those are specifically for increased legal fees due to the zoning issues that we've been hearing. And then we do have a increased amount in our debt service line for a public works bond that we didn't originally foresee.
Pleasure of the board on O4.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any questions? Mrs. Neecamp, call the roll.
Mrs. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
Mr. Monholland.
Yes.
Motion passes. And that is all I have unless you have any questions for me.
Additional questions for the fiscal officer, Mrs. Wild,
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Dunlap.
I have none, and thanks for the fire thing and refunding that and gaining us the money. That's significant. Thank you.
And Chief Little had a lot to do with helping with that, as helping put it together as well. So
I have no additional questions. Thank you. As a result of us closing the public hearing, you have a resolution, Mr. Jabina?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a resolution. Resolution number 2021-08-1805, a resolution to amend the zoning resolution of Violet Township, Fairfield County. Zoning amendment number 01ZC 2021.
Pleasure of the board on O5.
Move to adopt.
I will second that. Any questions?
We typically wait for the next meeting, correct?
This is the second meeting.
No, after it's officially closed.
Is there a question?
Just making a point.
Ms. Neecamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
Mr. Monholland,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Trustee reports, Mrs. Wild.
This past weekend, we had the library out here. It was a fantastic event. I think he said they had about 200 families out here. And I know I was out there by the community garden. We raised $150 for the food pantry. And on top of that, still had stuff left over to donate. So it was a great event.
Thank you. Mr. Dunlap.
I was here for a little portion in the morning and got to speak to a lot of the people and thank the people for coming and setting up. I know that we had a tent out there for the land use plan, and it was getting busy, but I had other commitments and couldn't stay around, but it was good and it looked great, and they had good entertainment, and I think everybody enjoyed themselves. I want to thank the fire department and of course the sheriff and SWAT and everybody else who came up for touch a truck, and we had some trucks up here, and it worked out really good. One of the things I just want to talk about is something for food for thought. We've got one of our zoning commission members who cannot fulfill their duties, and they're going to step down from the commission. So that means we have an opening, but I'm sure we have an alternate. But I think we need to advertise this and let everybody know that there is an opening and that we'll consider everybody, including an alternate, for that zoning position. And something to think about for the future, I think maybe we ought to consider that 90 days prior to somebody's end of their term, so they're appointed for so many years, the 90 days prior to that, we post that position too, because I think a lot of people in the community don't have an opportunity or don't understand that those positions are not ongoing. They don't have to be elected like we do, but we have to select them. And I think we need to make sure that the community has a better vision of our process, then that way can become active on either on the Board of Zoning Appeals or on the zoning board. And if they don't get selected for that position, at least an alternate where they can gain experience and knowledge and become a useful participant in that particular thing. So this one coming up, I think we need to advertise for that as soon as we can, put it on our website and wherever else we can get it out to the community, you know, our Facebook and Twitter, so that people who are interested can submit a letter of resume or whatever of their qualifications and their experience and why they want to be on the board, and give everybody an opportunity.
Very good, thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. I took the opportunity to speak with our county engineer, Jeremiah Upp, regarding sidewalks, walking paths on Refugee Road, regarding potential for OPWC grants, safe routes to school, and asked him to check with his professional organization and see if there is any precedence for American Rescue Act dollars to be used for this type of thing. It seems to be pretty liberally granted, and I think that it would be something that would go toward public good in our case. And he is working on that. I realized that you two gentlemen would be meeting with him on Monday, and so I will respectfully step back after having that conversation with him and look forward to what you have to say after your meeting with him on the 23rd.
I know on his preliminary plan for the improvement of Refugee Road from Milner on to the east, I think if I can recollect like, and we'll check with him for sure on Monday, but I believe that that improvement project, when it's coming up, included a walk path from Pickerington city limits all the way to Tollgate Road on the north side. So, but this other grant money that's available might expedite that as far as it already is. He wouldn't want to put in a walk path and then in 2 years when he widens the rest of the road out there, tear it out and move it again. So we'll discuss that with him on Monday. But and I would ask, while I'm talking, the other two trustees to come up with, look at our other roads, look at our other places and see, because we're going to have some of that money where we can make connectivity with existing sidewalks, existing subdivisions, and get him to our parks and other places. So please take a look at that and get back with me and Ed so that we can maybe have something before Monday. Appreciate it. We could talk to him, because it requires us to coordinate our efforts with the county engineer and with ODOT.
We do have some stuff with, in conjunction with Morpsey, and I can get that
Okay,
over to you.
but that'd be great.
Thank you. Does anyone have anything else? Okay, I have nothing else. Events where there'll be more than one trustee present. Anybody think of anything besides our next meeting, which will be on September 1st?
Not unless you come to the Antique Tractor Show at the fairgrounds in Lancaster this weekend. I'll be there. Come down and look at the tractors, watch the thresh machines and the sawmills and all the steam engines, and it's a good time.
I'll let you know if I have a change of heart and I plan to attend. How's
That's good.
that? The next regularly scheduled trustee meeting will be at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, September 1st, 2021 at the Violet Township Administrative Offices at 10190 Blacklick Eastern Road. No old business, no table.
If I may, Mr. Chair, for
Absolutely, go
old
ahead.
business. The board may remember last month you had a hearing regarding the removal of an unsafe structure belonging to William Juris. Since that meeting, I, at the board's direction, directed an agreement for the repair of that structure, and I sent it to Mr. Juris, and I have not heard from him. I've been trying to get a hold of him, but it's been several weeks now with no response. So just going forward, my plan is, if I don't hear from him by your next meeting, to send a resolution to proceed with the removal. If he makes contact with me, we can work out the agreement, but if he doesn't, then I'll recommend proceeding with the removal of the structure. And also, it's not particularly old business, but Mr. Dravina did ask that I work with the Park District to develop an agreement for the Park District to create some walking trails here at the Wigwam. And I am working on that. I was hoping to have it for tonight. I just didn't have a chance to get it together. So I apologize for that, but you should have it by your next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Turbina. No other old business or tabled items that we need to know about? Correct? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Dunlap.
I would move that we recess the regular trustee meeting and go into executive session per Ohio Revised Code 12122G1 to consider the discipline of a public employee after a 10-minute recess.
I will second that. Mrs. Niekamp, call the roll.
Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
Mr. Monholland,
Yes.
Mrs. Wild.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We're at a 10-minute recess. Thank you for your attendance.
Yeah, I mentioned that. I remember you and I got together in a meeting back at the old township.
Right. And it's glad to see you.
Yeah, I was getting this.